This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television. For animal lovers, by animal lovers.
I'm Chad Brown from the Reptile Report. You know who this guy is. We're continuing our Southern California reptile tour. We're at the Reptile Zoo in Fountain Valley.
You're watching Snake Bites.
Let's go check it out. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's up, Chad?
Good to see you, man.
Hey.
What's up, man? How you doing, dude?
Look, yeah, pretty good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're here to learn all about the Reptile Zoo and all this awesomeness you got going here.
Well, like, you know, basically, this is my little fantasy dream here. Dude, we converted, half the store into a reptile zoo, and we're actually got an expansion plan, which is pretty cool. We're about halfway done with it, but even already we got our alligator enclosure in, and we got giant snapping turtle. We even have a movie star here, Mr. Kipling from Disney Channel.
Great, yeah, I know. So how long has the zoo been here?
The zoo is exactly 5 years almost to the day.
That's
so
fantastic.
we opened up 5 years ago.
So over the course of the 5 years at the zoo, I mean, thousands and thousands of kids have come through here and touched reptiles for the first time.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
That's amazing. So you're doing good work then.
Yeah, I love what I do, and that doesn't change no matter how long I've been doing it. So.
Well, hey, we're here to see some animals. Let's see what you got.
Okay,
check it out, man. Let's go.
We got lots of cool stuff.
What's the name of the two-headed rat snake that calls the Reptile Zoo its home? A, Thelma and Louise, B, Laurel and Hardy, C, Abbott and Costello. Go ahead and answer in the comments down below and check back later in the show to see if you have the right answer. For this week's Reptile Report, we'll be highlighting venomous snakes. Go ahead and check out the URL down below or click on the link in the description.
Let me show you one of my favorites. This guy right here. This is This is actually the last thing we got. It's an alligator snapping turtle.
Oh my goodness.
That's a monster.
Oh, ho, ho. Oh, man.
He's
That
a bomber.
is an animal.
Oh
What's
my gosh.
up, buddy?
Look at that sucker.
Wow.
That's one bad dude right there.
There he is. He is awesome.
Do me a favor, Chad. Don't get your hand in there.
Yeah.
Hand below, not above.
He's waiting for a handout.
Legitimately.
No pun intended.
Speaking of hands, look at these claws.
It's
man.
huge. Look at his back feet.
He is amazing.
So anyway, this is one of our newest additions, and I dig them.
Yes.
I'm not really a turtle guy, but I am. I
Oh,
like
yeah,
big,
thing's
cool
amazing.
things. I like big croc monitors, big giant retics.
Right.
This guy's getting heavy.
Here, we want to take over?
Yeah,
Sure.
Your turn, Brian. You got it.
All right. Just keep the.
Don't have to go to the gym now.
Don't drop him.
God,
Don't drop
that
him.
thing is heavy.
He's heavy, huh?
Yeah, this
Just
thing
let me
is
know when you
awesome.
switch,
He's over
man.
a buck and a half, so he's over, well over 150 pounds.
Tell me where this thing came from. I mean, you got it recently. Where did it come
I got it from a reptile show back east, and the guy had it for quite a while and decided that he wanted to get rid of it, and I was like, yes, I'm into this. And of course, the gators have learned to respect them. When they first put him in here, he would be eating and they'd come want to champ on it.
Right.
They grew out of that quick.
Only takes 1 or 2 shots and they're done.
So I was a little bit worried for the gators, but in real life they live together.
Sure.
It's a natural environment. They got, relatively natural. They got the rock hides, they got land, and honestly they know whose food's who, and everything goes good.
Tell me a little bit about the gators in here.
The Darth over there is our famous gator. We had him named on. We basically made a YouTube video, Facebook, social media named him. So he's Darth Gator 1 without hands
Classic,
down.
right? Classic.
And he's the biggest one we got. But amazingly enough, none of these gators here are about. I don't think it's more than about 4 years old.
So I gotta know, can I get inside here or what?
You can enter at your own risk. The truth of the matter is they're actually really tame gators, but they're really food responsive. This is their place where they get fed in, and anything that goes in they think's fair game.
Right.
And if they figure out that you're not food, then you're good.
Well, that's the thing. I think with crocodilians, they have an understanding. Their territory and your
Absolutely.
territory. When they think it's their territory, it's game on.
Absolutely the truth. So, but hey, you know what?
I will go, seriously. All right, that's later. Let's go look at some other
Come on,
stuff.
check. I want to show you guys one of my favorite chameleons.
Parsons chameleons are one of the largest chameleons on the planet And this one sure was a beauty, but one of the coolest things about chameleons is that long tongue and the way that they feed, and we're about to see a pretty good example of that.
Bam! Nice. That's his native food, by the way. Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
What we have here is a Barron's racer. Now, these are really interesting animals that come from South America. They're a rear-fanged venomous animal, but as you can see, they're typically extremely placid and rarely will bite. And even if they do, you typically get some mild swelling, maybe some nausea, so they're really not that bad. They're the largest colubrid down in South America, getting up to 10 feet in length, but typically they're only gonna get about 6 or 7 feet. But the thing that I absolutely love about them is that little nose appendage, much like the rhino rats. Now, what's interesting is the males will stay much smaller and typically won't have nearly as much of a nose piece to them. And the females typically have nice long ones like that. And again, that's going to attract prey because these are extremely arboreal snakes that spend all their time up in the trees. This is just going to basically attract birds to come along and little lizards, and they're going to nail them when they think that that might be a little worm or some kind of a leech. Truly a cool snake. What we have here is the mangrove snake. Now, these are another rear-fanged venomous animal, and this guy seems to have a little bit of an attitude, so I have to make sure that I'm keeping him kind of attached to my hand and not towards my face, because trust me, I don't want to take a bite by even a mildly venomous snake to the face. Now, these are actually Boega dendrophilia. They come from Southeast Asia, and it's that black and yellow pattern that makes them such spectacular animals. They're typically known as cat-eyed snakes. They spend the majority of the time in the trees. Again, these guys are going to eat lizards, birds, and sometimes even other snakes. But there's certainly some spectacular animals. I tell you, I don't want to take a bite from this guy, but man, I am really enjoying playing with him. Now he's coming around, you gotta be really careful. You can see he's starting to get a little bit more attentive, but that tongue is going pretty quick, so he's thinking, what's going on here? Whew, what a beautiful animal.
Brian's been showing you some rear-fanged species of snakes. When people think of lizards, they don't think of venomous, but there are 2 species of venomous lizards on the planet. The Mexican beaded lizard, and these guys, Gila monsters, native to the southwest part of the United States. These are an awesome species of lizard, super easy to care for in captivity. In fact, would make an ideal pet because they're almost bulletproof, other than the fact that they're venomous. In the wild, they eat nestling rodents, newly hatched birds. They're pretty slow moving, so they're not going to catch too many things out in the wild, but in captivity, they do just fine on a diet of mice. Very difficult to breed consistently in captivity. At Pro Exotics, we bred them for a number of years, but we were lucky if we got 50% of our eggs to hatch. There are 2 different subspecies of Gila monsters. This is a reticulated type. There's also a banded type, which is more highly prized in captivity for its strong, crisply banded pattern. Again, a beautiful animal, would make an ideal pet if they weren't venomous.
So this is the famous Mrs. Kipling, huh?
Hey, don't even go there. He's Mr. Kipling to me, but he's a really cool lizard. I've had him. He's actually carries a gene for
Sulfur.
Correct.
Right.
Actually, I've never bred him, but I bred his sisters.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go grab one of the sisters if you want to take him right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, so sulfur monitors are actually an Asian water monitor, but it's a
how's
color
that for
mutation,
beautiful?
and that gives you an idea what one of these looks like. Holy cow. That thing is gorgeous.
Is that ridiculous or what? So this, when I said go get her, this is actually him, and this is from Mr. Kipling's sister. So this is a nephew.
Right.
This is one of their first ones, and I was really happy with the outcome.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
animal.
absolutely beautiful genetics.
So these are just water monitors. You know, we're calling them by their TV names, Mr. and Mrs.
That's
Kipling,
right.
or Sulfur is their morph name. These are just regular old Indonesian water monitors.
Correct.
Big, giant, beautiful, tame lizards.
Captive-born water monitor are incredible pets.
Oh yeah, when you can really tame them out.
I
But
mean-
they have a few defenses here. I mean, these claws are really powerful. You certainly never
so
want to get
sharp.
bit, and then they certainly have another pretty nasty thing that they can do to you too. That may not scar you, except emotionally, and they can just dump on you. I mean, it's absolutely amazing the amount
And I'll tell you
of waste that they can
there's
have.
a little fact about him. When he goes to set, they have a rule. He has to be out of his cage and he has to make his move before he's allowed on set.
Okay, so you got the large sulfur monitors.
Correct.
The largest species of python in captivity. that we take.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you like the large reptiles.
What was it? I guess I'm trying to offset for something, but I love big animals.
I won't go there. You probably sell sulcatas, large tortoises.
I
as well.
love galops.
All right, so what do you think about the public, the general public?
Public.
Large water monitors, big retics, large tortoises.
Well, I don't think large dogs are for everybody.
Right.
I don't think large anything's for everybody. And I think at the end of the day, I don't think motorcycles are for everybody. And so we all have choices in life. And I think that really what this comes down to, this whole argument, is how much people can control our lives. And I think that when my hobby doesn't conflict in your life, I really think it's out of line for people to write laws.
This is another rear-fanged venomous snake that's endemic to South America. It's called a false water cobra. And the reason it's called a false cobra is because it has the same ability to flatten its neck out, kind of like a cobra. Now, of course, they do this to make themselves look larger to predators, so it's a really cool defense mechanism. Now, what's interesting about these guys is that it's different than, say, the cat-eye snakes, is that these have round pupils because they're a diurnal animal, which typically just means that they spend the majority of their time roaming around during the day and not at night. Now, these guys will typically feed on other snakes, lizards, and of course, birds, not to mention any other mammal that comes along its way. Their venom is relatively mild, and even if you do get bit, the only way that they can inject that venom is if they really chew on you, because the delivery system is in the back teeth, which means they gotta get a really good nab on you, and typically that's not gonna happen. And as you can see, this thing is puppy dog tamed.
This Jabba the Hutt looking thing is an African bullfrog from South Africa, also known in the pet trade as the pixie frog. We always think of pixies as being small, but this thing is huge. It eats whatever it can fit into its mouth. These guys will puff themselves up full of air when they're frightened to make themselves appear even bigger. It's a great pet for someone who doesn't have a whole lot of space, is not interested in a lot of interaction between them and their pet. As you can see, pixie frogs just sit there. The African bullfrog, about as big as a frog gets.
What we have here is a Madagascan tree boa, or Sanzinia madagascarensis, obviously endemic to Madagascar. These guys will typically obviously live up in the trees, and they're also a live bearer, having up to 10 babies, but more typically 6 or 8, pretty big ones. But what's really cool about them is the fact that when they're born, they're bright red and absolutely stunning animals. Not that they're bad as adults either. This happens to be a mandarin phase, and I just love that really triangular head that they have. I tell you what, if you came across this animal in the wild, you would certainly probably think it was a venomous snake.
Here at the Reptile Zoo, everyone's familiar with all the big retics. This is another species of python, although much smaller. This is a New World burrowing python, the only species of python from the New World. These guys are from South America, and as you can see, they don't get nearly the same size as the retics. They've got this awesome shiny iridescence to them, and those occasional white scales that you see, those aren't scars, those aren't piebald markings. That's part of the natural coloration of this species. The Latin name on these guys is Loxoscemus bicolor, one of the coolest pythons, but definitely one of the most unknown and underappreciated pythons within the pet trade. If you're looking for something small and really cool and rare, this is a species I can highly recommend.
Jay, dude, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, man. The Reptile Zoo is absolutely incredible.
Well, I'll tell you, I love what I do, and I tell you, I love showing it to people who love reptiles, and this is my thing, so.
You've done an awesome job. This is an amazing facility. You should be quite proud of what you
Well,
accomplished here.
it's strictly ran on passion.
Good job,
So
man.
peace out, dude. It's nice seeing you guys, and I hope to see you again.
See you at the show.
Take
All right,
care.
see you, man.
One of the things that's really amazing about my job, running around the world, just kind of looking at really cool places like this, is that I get to see awesome animals almost every single day. And I gotta be honest with you, growing up, my dream was to have a zoo or a place like this that's just a bunch of really cool animals, a private zoo. So it's always awesome to travel and get to see these types of environments, whether it's captive breeding of snakes or seeing them just in their wild environment. So places like this are even cooler to me because, you know, it's all about the education. The fact that kids can come in here and sometimes the very first time that they've ever had interaction with animals happens to be in a place just like this. Then they're gonna go home and they're gonna talk to their parents at the table, talking about how cool it was to see those reptiles or those animals and start to learn about them. That's what it's really about. Instilling the passion into the youth of the future when it comes to wildlife.
What's the name of the two-headed rat snake that calls the reptile zoo its home? If you said A, Thelma and Louise, you're 100% correct. Good job.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed showing it to you. Go ahead and check out the link in the description. It's a pretty cool place. And as always, I was Facebooking and tweeting my way through it. So make sure to follow me over at SnakeBytesTV. Till next week, you've been watching Snake Bites. Oh, shit.
Now we're entering the land of the crocodiles. It was impressive to see these crocodilians in naturalistic exhibits from across the globe. Naturally heated water pours from the ground through the limestone.
This is ABTV.